Good evening, everyone. Let's try it again. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. It's a delight to see you tonight. Welcome to Faith and Enterprise, the second in our series for the fall 2022 semester. Let's give God some praise for bringing us out safely tonight. I want to offer a word of prayer and transition to our moderator for tonight. We have a wonderful panel and an exciting discussion for you. But before I get to that, as is always the case, I wanted to make sure we acknowledge a very important group of folks without whom we wouldn't be here tonight, and that is our faculty. So please join me in welcoming, first of all, Dr. Andy Harity, professor. Next, we want to welcome Dr. Del Harrison, professor. And Dr. Keenan Alderson, professor. So good to see you today. We also have with us Mr. Carnell Borden, who is with us as well. Thank you so much. So with that, let's take a moment now and let's look to the Lord in prayer. God, we are so grateful for you tonight, for you have blessed us and brought us to this place. And we thank you for this opportunity to learn about a topic that perhaps we may know, but most of all, that we need to know. God, I'm grateful for these panelists who come from near and far. I pray that you bless them now and encourage them. I thank you, God, for our professors and for our students who are here, for our staff who helped us in such a wonderful way to prepare for this event tonight. I pray that you would help us to honor you in what we discuss and to learn the importance of analyzing in a way that honors you. I know you're able. I ask you to do it in Jesus' name. Amen. And so now I'd like to welcome our moderator for this evening, our industry liaison for the Dr. Robert K. Jebb School of Business, Dawn Carter.
Hey, thank you. Welcome everyone, and we're really glad you came on out for this Faith and Enterprise. I know it's a busy time of year, and you've got a lot on your plate, so this is a Monday night. We want to make it worth your while. We want to make it worth your time, and I think you'll enjoy some of the speakers that we've pulled together. Before we get started, I don't know if you were, raise your hand if you were at the last one, the last Faith and Enterprise. The one, not very many, though. This is a cool new crowd then. What we're going to do is we're going to actually start off with a Kahoot, so if you can pull out your phones. Pull out your phones. If you don't have the app downloaded, you probably should by now have it. Go ahead and pull it out, and we will get the classic mode. There we go. Get ready to join. And for those of you who are familiar, you're more than welcome to participate too. But for those of you who have not participated, once you pull the app up, it'll ask you to join a Kahoot. This is the number that you're going to want to put in, 457-198, and then it's going to ask you to put your name in. And here we go. Well, you guys are experts. You guys have done this probably since high school. So here we go. So, and as we fill up names, good. I think we have some people who are not playing because there's going to be a lot. There we go. Awesome. Is that everybody? Josh ready? There we go. William, welcome. And I think, we're still adding, okay. All right, then if you could go ahead and click start, we're gonna just ask you a couple questions and then just select the colored square that best represents your answer. Let's see if we have the goofy music. It is a good song, it's very catchy, but I don't know if I don't hear it this time. Think of your dream job career. Do you think you'll need analytic skills? That's kind of a setup, but do you think you'll need it? No, absolutely not. Blue, probably not. Probably yes is yellow, and absolutely yes is green. I'm missing the fun music. It's usually kind of techno. There we go. There we go. Okay, so the answer was absolutely yes, 32%. Or no, 65%. So that's kind of one of the overall winners. Let's do the next question.
Hold on a second. That's the right answer.
There we go. In a word, describe what you feel about analytics. So this is a free form word cloud. Just put one word, please. One word. Type your answers. I have feelings about Music's coming. Sorry, I know that's the funnest part. Oh, there we go. It's just kind of dorky, kind of. Here we go. Boring. It is important. Some people can't. Okay, this is more than one word, but interesting, important, very good. Underqualified. Oof. Bleh. Exhausting. Stats. Eh. Okay. Love it. Very good. There's an honesty there. Yeah. Okay, next. How much do you like business statistics? There we go. And place your answers. All right. Oh, that's actually pretty surprising, you guys. Pretty surprising. It's pretty even across. So we kind of heavily weighted on the not at all and not much. So I'm seeing not big fans. Neutral, we got 6 sort of like and 5 really like. Okay, very good. 2 more questions. One more, please. The question is, how much do you like business analytics? The first one is statistics. We've got 50 answers. Oh, okay. So we got a lot of neutrality there about that. And our final just demographic, just to find out who all y'all are. Our last question is, what is your major? Business admin, accounting, finance, marketing, entrepreneurship, or international business, or other. There we go. So we got a lot of business admin majors here. Awesome. Well, thank you. That's great. And we'll just move it ahead to the next screen. And at this time, I'm going to welcome our panelists to come on up. If you wouldn't mind just coming on up to the stage, please make yourself comfortable. And I'm going to give you this one. There we go. And I will go back. I lied. Give me that one back. Okay. Well, let me introduce to you our guests who have given up of their time after working a long day to come talk with you. And so we're really, really pleased to have our guests with us tonight. Our first guest right here is, I'll have to take my glasses off, Alberto Jasso, who was an MBA grad here from CBU in 2018. He's had a career in public admin in the city and county government positions, administrating grant-funded projects, and has a lot of experience there. And now he's currently at the San Manuel Band of Indians with the role of the title. Tell me the title again.
It's the Manager of Strategic Philanthropy.
Okay, Strategic Philanthropy. And you'll get to hear some very, very interesting facts about some of the projects that he's been involved in. So, Alberto, welcome. And then directly next to him, we have Brad Frailey.
Yes,
there we go. Brad Frailey, who's a controller for the California, the Baptist Foundation of California. There we go. And he got his MSA, went to, is it Cal State San Bernardino?
Yes, Cal State San Bernardino. Don't boo me.
Yep, and then no booing. Worked for a CPA firm for about 4 years, and then really found kind of a calling when you got to go to the California Baptist Foundation. So welcome. And your role there is?
Controller.
Controller.
Yeah.
Okay, and then next to you, we have Thomas Gerstheimer.
You got it.
Close enough. Okay, close enough. And Thomas is the, Director of Operations at Uline, and is a CBU grad. In fact, I think you were looking out the window and remembering when this building wasn't here and the College of Engineering building wasn't here. Yeah, so a lot of changes. He is a CBU alumni, and he has a MBA, and was with DHL Supply Chain for about 11 years. Yep, so we look forward to hearing from you. And then on the end, we have Lena
I'm just a student.
No, not just a student. You are our student representative. You're a senior in marketing, right? And you got to work this last summer on a political campaign in your home state of Washington. So you got to use business analytics in that role as a field rep and a social media manager. So welcome. Let's see, there's something going on next summer too that's kind of a big deal. What's that?
I'm getting married.
Okay, yeah, there's that. And carrying 21 units, so I think that's pretty significant. But so I'm going to go ahead and start on some of the questions, and let me step off. You guys want to share? Yeah, you guys can share. Oh, that's right. So we do have some questions that are already written, but if you would like to ask other questions of our panelists during the course of their talks, I think the next slide will, yes, that's the QR code to submit a question. They are moderated, so if you have a question that you would like to ask any of them, just specifically to a certain speaker, just put their name and what your question is, or it could say to all. So please feel free to interact, and we will give plenty of time because we want this to be of relevance to you and answer the questions that you might have. So, this is getting old sucks. Okay, let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and start now with some of the questions. Let's go ahead and I'll shoot this over. Actually, I'm going to have each of you answer this one. In your current job, do you need analytics? Kind of a no-brainer, but here, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I would say we definitely need analytics because I'm in the accounting department, but I also help on the investment side. So we use a lot of descriptive analytics to basically, describe what has happened in the past year and kind of get a good sense of how operations is running and how our portfolio is performing. But also we use predictive analytics to basically try and attempt to find out where the market's going, where the next, best places to invest are. So we're constantly kind of evaluating different ratios and market conditions to try and figure out, okay, how can we better position our clients, our portfolios, to be able to get them into the best investment opportunities that carry the least amount of risk. So analytics play a huge role in that.
Excellent, thank you. Someone else?
Yeah, in my industry, I'm not in finance, I'm in operations. So I oversee a large team, and in a very difficult labor market, any incremental change that you can make with a process improvement or with productivity yields returns, right? So the less people that you have to hire, the more productive that you are, the better off you are. And so every little change that we make, we measure, we monitor, and we work to make those improvements.
Great.
Yeah. And good evening, everyone. It's very nice to see all of you today. For me, as Don was mentioning, I work with the Seminole Band of Mission Indians. So we operate, a lot of folks know us because we operate a tribal gaming facility here in the Inland Empire, which is Yamava Resort and Casino. And we recently acquired another property in Las Vegas. Every year we have an $8.3 million guest, 8.3 million guests that visit our casino. And analytics is very involved. And the reason why is because you want to understand who your customers are, where they're coming, when they get to your property, what are they doing, what do they like, when's Thomas' birthday, when he comes to the casino, does he like to gamble, is he here for food and entertainment, does he like to dance, right? Those are the types, does he bring his friends, right? Those are the types of things that we want to make sure that we understand for our customer, and why is to make sure that we give them the best hospitality experience when they visit our property, just to kind of tee it up there. Lydia?
Love it. Those were all beautiful answers. Okay, I worked in politics over the summer on a campaign, and we used business analytics in a different way. I didn't focus on more the number part. I'm not a numbers girl. We did like surveys as what they think about certain issues or what they want to address, bringing issues forward to us so that we can make a change. We were able to see different types of target market groups and all of that and get to know them and understand where they're coming from. So that was super cool to see that. And it was an interesting time because I've never had an experience and background in business analytics. So it was super cool to see and work with new technology in that way too.
Thank you. Yeah, so this is, as you can see, our guests, our panelists represent a real wide variety. I mean, they're not just from, you would think, analytics, maybe just from the finance world, but I think that's what was so fun for me to get to hear about your different backgrounds, is that it really is across so many different industries. So one of the things that we'd like to know is, and maybe we'll start this with Thomas or Tom?
Either one.
Okay. Can you give us an example of when you used business analytics and it helped advance your career or really made you a winner on a project or something like that? Just a real practical example?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, I've always been historically scared of numbers. I wasn't good at math growing up. I don't like math. I was writing down the numbers, the tough, bleh, oof, and boring. Those would have been my answers, right? So, but as I got into my career, what I learned was that individuals and leaders that know how to work with people, that know how to work with processes, and that know how to, at least at a very simple level, understand a P&L, you can go anywhere. And it doesn't matter. I've worked in aerospace, I've worked in distribution, I work in distribution now. And so as you navigate from different roles, if you can just simply understand revenue and cost, the interplay of those two, and how your decisions impact revenue or cost, or with the process, right? If something is X% faster, you can quantify that to time, you can quantify that to a labor rate, and you can quantify that to savings. So again, doesn't necessarily have to be super high level, like a deep dive, but just understanding the interplay is very helpful.
Great. Anyone else would like to answer that question?
Yeah, I mean, for us at the Baptist Foundation of California, we used to have an outside consulting firm basically manage our investments, and a colleague and I, we actually undertook our Certified Investment Management Analyst designations, and it allowed us to be able to take that investment portfolio in-house. So rather than paying someone else to do that, we were able to save hundreds of thousands of dollars by bringing that in-house and not relying on someone else. So, I'm sure some of you guys have dabbled a little bit in investing. I'm sure we have some Dogecoin investors or some GameStop. That's not an option for us at the foundation right now. I don't think our entity partners would be pleased.
Thank the Lord.
But being able to analyze something as complex as the stock market and businesses and the financials of those businesses, and determining what sectors of the market to basically push our portfolio towards, it's vital. And it's allowed us to basically, save quite a bit of money for our operations just by employing analytics and being able to rely on ourselves rather than outside vendors.
Please.
For us, as I mentioned, one of the things that we did at Sam & Mo is that we acquired a new casino out in Las Vegas, which was a big deal because we were the first Native American tribe to own and operate a tribal gaming facility in Las Vegas, right? The gaming and hospitality industry. And the first thing that came to mind was all right, well, the casino is great and there's a lot of opportunity there, right? But the owners that have owned this property for the last 20 years haven't made a profit at all. So why should we buy it, right? And we took a step back and we analyzed our customer portfolio here at Yamava, right? And we're like, well, what if we offer this as a plan B, right? As a second destination? Well, what type of information do we have right now from our customer base? And we have 8.3 billion visitors that come in, right? So what was the school of thought behind that? Well, if we buy this property, we're coming in with a very strong database that can support our new customers as we open up this second destination. The primary hub is here, right? But if we can offer this second destination to our 8.3 million clients that come into our doors every day, then that's, and there's a lot of analytics that come into play, right? Our marketing, our business strategy in Las Vegas is very similar, but again, it's those data analytics and being able to make a $650 million decision to say, yes, I'm gonna buy it because I have the customer database to support that. And that was the main driving factor for us to make sure that we move forward to that decision.
Wow, so that informed that's a hefty price tag on a choice that you guys made. So let me back up. We got a great question from our audience that said, basically, what is business analytics and do you have to be good at math? You kind of touched a little bit on that, Thomas, but how would you define that for people that may not be, maybe earlier in their college career and aren't as familiar with the term?
Yeah, I think there are probably different kind of elements of the term. There is data analytics where you're using Python and programs to analyze data, and it gets very, 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 very deep and very complicated. And you can extract a lot from that. From my experience, though, the process of analyzing data or using data to make decisions, I don't have to be an analyst to be able to do that. I can use just basic understanding of numbers and just struggling with my words here for a second. I need to analyze my words right now, but it's the actual analysis, and then it's also the application. And I guess that's more what I've been talking about tonight. And that applies to every role that you could be in.
Yeah, for me, I think it's mostly being able to take large data sets and be able to precisely kind of zero in on what exactly that data is trying to tell you, taking mass amounts of data that seemingly by themselves are of no use, but being able to cut through those numbers with very specific ratios or formulas that allow you to basically know the whole picture of what's going on, what the numbers are trying to tell you.
Oh, okay. Well, in my very vast experience that I have compared to these awesome people as a student here, business analytics is like, from what I learned in classes, is taking the data sets, right, or the facts that we got from, I was a campaign field representative. I collected data and surveys, so we would take those numbers and then we would make decisions based off of it, and we would figure out how to make wise decisions based off of it, and just analyze it and take a look at it and see our target market and who we want to basically like appeal to, basically, and stuff like that. So it was good to learn that.
Very good, very practical.
Yes, practical.
Yeah, please do, please do.
I think there's two things that I want for you guys to, walk away with. And I think the first thing, in my opinion, the foundation principle of data analytics is transforming data into information. And I'll say it one more time, transforming data into information. Well, what does that mean? Okay, well, you've been tracking all this information for the past 10 years, and you have it stored, and it's safe, and so on. But how do you translate it into a way that you can convince your stakeholders to invest in your company, to make decisions around it? And again, it's about transforming it into English. Secondly, I know I was scared about data analytics, right? But then I realized, wow, there's actually some really smart people doing it already. All I got to be able to do is read it, understand it, be able to have a conversation, ask good questions, right? Whenever I don't understand it, don't try to act like you do understand it, right? But really take the time to understand it. Because again, you're not alone, right? Don't think that once you enter the work field that you're going to be there just a big Excel sheet and you're going to have to make sense of it, right? No, there's normally always other people behind it, and whether you're at the management ladder or you're the one collecting the information, right? Just know that you're not alone. And again, transforming data into information is the base, in my opinion, for this.
Great answer. What a great insight, too. I mean, I think that with a lot of you that are going to be graduating in a few years, wouldn't that be terrifying to someone just go, make sense of this? And you're like, So I love that perspective that there are other people, but I also want to point out that point of saying, don't pretend you know stuff you don't know. Oh, I learned that one the hard way. So you absolutely, if you don't know or don't understand, it's okay to ask. And that's why Google was created too. So, but anyway, one of the questions I would love to find out is, because this is Faith and Enterprise, and we're a unabashedly Christian organization, I would be interested in hearing if there are times when your Christian or a biblical worldview had an influence in the way you either interpreted or gathered or presented data. I'll give you a second to think about that if they're.
Yeah, I think honestly that Christian ethics and morals, they really come through during the presentation of data analytics, because not everyone is as well versed in analytics, and I think probably you guys have encountered a situation in which a statistic or some kind of analytic has been painted in a way that this is the whole story based on one number. I could put up a chart that said ice cream sales increase in the summer and car crashes increase in the summer, therefore ice cream causes car crashes. I mean, those that's an uncorrelated basically that's an uncorrelated instance. But the problem is, this is an extreme example. The problem is not everyone is able to recognize that that's a flawed correlation. And so being able to commit to what the broader picture of what the analytics are trying to show is important, even if it doesn't support your narrative, even if it doesn't support what you're trying to push. You have to maintain that the data integrity that the numbers are trying to tell you. So for me, the presentation is probably the biggest instance where there is opportunity for dishonesty and the biggest temptation. And resisting that temptation, telling the truth of what those numbers are saying is, I think, really important.
Really good answer. How about someone else?
Yeah, I agree with Brad, and I think you said that really, really well. In my industry, when you're the P&L owner, right, there can be temptation to fudge numbers or do things differently when the numbers aren't good. And the bottom line is the data is not up for interpretation. The data is the data. Like it's the truth. And whether it's good or bad, I think the my walk with Christ has impacted me in owning that and then just communicating it with confidence, regardless of the outcome. So you own the truth, you communicate directly and honestly, and then from there you can take action and you can come up with plans to turn a bad situation around, but you never compromise on how you present the data.
Very well said.
And I think for me, I think everyone in this room can agree that we should always keep God at the forefront, right, beyond business analytics. And I think that's, as you're working with all this different information and data, I think one thing that's very important to me is to be good stewards of that information, right? Because sometimes you're going to have access to information that is very classified, very very confidential, right? And the last thing you want to do is use that information to exploit another company, exploit your customers, exploit the owners or whoever it is that you're working for. Because I think a lot of the flaws in business right now is, again, as to what my colleagues were saying here too, but also that there's a lot of folks that are using that information, selling it to someone else without people knowing about it. And I think that's where, for me, I want to make sure that I always try to be a good steward of the information that I have in front of me.
Yeah, great point. I think it actually leads into the next question, and you've really actually touched on it, is how has a biblical worldview or your Christianity has it ever come maybe bumped up against something in your career where you're like, ooh, like maybe an ethical dilemma or something like that you'd care to share?
Yeah, I think it happens all the time, kind of like how Thomas was saying. I mean, especially when I was working at the CPA firm, we're responsible for auditing financial statements and, preparing tax returns. You wouldn't believe the amount of pressure that you're under to either push towards what the client wants, to, maybe change a number here or there, or present something in the notes to the financial statements that doesn't quite paint the whole picture. It's definitely something that you're going to face no matter what profession you're in, and it's something that you have to be prepared for. And I think more often than not, your peers and your coworkers, not all the time, but they're going to be supportive of that and they're going to respect that, especially when you hold firm in the face of pressure and can withstand that. So, I mean, that's definitely something that I think each and every one of you guys should be prepared for. So.
Well, you guys are here. You guys are called to be good stewards of the talents that the Lord has blessed you with. And at CBU, our Christian perspective is super unique here, and we integrate that into our daily lives and especially in business as well. For me, this summer, I was able to do that. I had the opportunity to door knock and canvass for the campaign candidate, and I campaigned and door knocked at over 8,000 doors, and each time I had different conversations, and some actually led to gospel sharing opportunities, which was super awesome. And I know the Lord put me in that position for a reason, and I was just able to take what I learned here at CBU and integrate that into the workplace and into sometimes it's kind of interesting. People don't like politics and all that mixing, but I was just able to know the truth and stand firm in the truth and and share that with others, because I wanted them to have eternal salvation with God. So having those conversations was amazing. So that's how I integrated mine into my workplace.
Yeah, I think for me, I can look back, and there have been seminal moments in my career where I was asked to do something that was not right before the Lord. And that's really when things are either true or they're real. Like intellectually, something is true. I should do the right thing, and I know that, but it becomes real when it could actually cost me something, and that's terrifying. It's super terrifying when I have to provide for my wife and my kids, and if I don't do this, what's the impact on me going to be? But in my experience, again, the numbers are the numbers. I communicate those, and then we take action. And so when I've done the right thing before the Lord, and by God's grace with help from people at church and good input and counsel, God has always taken care of me, even if it's a really tough situation and you communicate something that nobody wants to hear, and it looks like it's going to go really poorly. God has always come through and always protected.
Yeah, I think for me, I always tell my wife, maybe one day I'll get fired, and it's probably going to be because I really believe in something, right? Or I was asked to do something that I didn't agree with, and I'm okay with getting fired because of that, right? Because I think we should all hold ourselves to some type of values and principles. But, I've been in those situations where it's been hey, well, if I don't do this, the boss might not like me, or this is not like he was saying, that they really want you to lean into this, but I think it's your individual responsibility to have integrity and to do the right thing. And again, if it means that, I have the same thoughts as Thomas, I got a son to provide for and a wife and a household and so on. But, at the end of the day, it's like, well, what do you want to be recognized for being honest or for being a liar and, a crony?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's what I want to be recognized as.
And I think what's so important, even in the light of the news that came out this week with all the crypto things that are crashing, the FTX, failing. I mean, we live in a time when integrity isn't a given. It just isn't. And so I think that the world that you all get to go into and work is going to be craving people of integrity. And people that have the guts to be able to say, this is really the right answer. And you can do it graciously. You don't have to be all up in people's faces, but you can be gracious and still have integrity. So thank you. Thanks for sharing those perspectives. One of the other things that someone has asked is, can you make a lot of money having business analytics as a career or going into that? Is that something that do you have any perspective on that? Is that something that you've seen in other people's career paths? Okay.
In all seriousness, somebody that understands, and I'm going to go back and say it again, but somebody that can lead people, that understands relationships, that can make processes better, and that gets the books, right? I mean, you can move from any part of an organization and add value there. And people that are kind of that like multi-dimensional threat, or whatever you want to call it, like they're very, very marketable, and in tons of different industries that pay a lot of money, and that's a good thing.
Got it. Sorry about that. We got a very interesting question that came in from one of the students in terms of the modernization of tech and AI and things like that, and how has that affected how data is collected? Do you have any thoughts on what you're observing in the way that technology is kind of encroaching? What do you think about that?
I think it just, it really has multiplied the amount of data points that are out there available for collection. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys have, talked to your friends about a ping pong table, sent a text about a ping pong table, and then all of a sudden on Facebook the next day you have an ad for a ping pong table. We are walking data points at this point in terms of the way our phone uses us, the way we interact online. The amount of data that is out there now is almost unquantifiable. And basically, every job that I see going in the future, I mean, it's going to be a requirement to at least have a baseline understanding of analytics. I don't think there's many fields that you can go into that are not going to at least have some value add to having a baseline knowledge of statistics. And I think really it's important for advancing your career. If you want to get past the entry level, the data entry points, I really believe that understanding statistical analysis and to be able to think creatively about solutions to problems that are presented in your business, they're really going to be relying on statistics.
And, I think one thing that I've seen is that, yes, there's a lot of people collecting information, but the wrong information. There's a lot of waste and a lot of effort and resources that are going in. It's like, hey, we just want to know everything about our customer. And it's like, well, is it really that important to know, if they like the color blue, right? And again, a lot of folks are so focused on just trying to, it's kind of like a funnel, right? Collecting all this information, but then it gets bottlenecked, right? And then when it comes down to the strategic leaders, to the philosophers, the visionaries of these organizations, they don't know what to do with it. They get confused, frustrated, because they're just kind of like, okay, well, I know that their favorite color is blue, but what does that mean for our business, right? And again, that's where transforming the data into information is very critical. I cannot stress that enough, because I do think there's a lot of companies and organizations just tracking stuff just to track, just because we have the cool technology, right? And I think that's something to be mindful of nowadays.
Yeah, I think the point too that I see or that I hear also is that you've got once you get out into your careers, you're going to have managers, you're going to have stakeholders, bosses that want to make sense of this, and so they're going to be looking to you or looking to your team to help give context and provide that. And so I think that that's what's really neat, to be able to provide the backing for whatever it is you're recommending. Ooh, okay, here's a very interesting question. When hiring an MBA grad business analyst, what are you looking for in a resume that makes a potential candidate for the position? Recommendations for interview prep for a newly graduated business analyst. So that's very specific. So are there things that you are looking for if you know you've got a pile of resumes or someone came across your desk highly recommended? Are there things that you would recommend to someone applying for that type of position that would kind of maybe give them a leg up or kind of make you go, I'm going to notice this one? Think about it.
So we do a lot of in-house training for the analyst positions. And so I'm thinking like the more advanced skills are going to be taught on the job. But really the entry point into like being a competitive candidate there is having some level of competency with Microsoft Excel and just being able to like get data sets and navigate through that pretty well.
So Excel, just basic, just plain old basic Excel. And I appreciated too about you saying that at the beginning when we did the Kahoot and you said the blah, and those would have been your answers. So I guess that can be encouraging, you guys, even if, courses that have Excel, a lot of times it becomes relevant when you're on the job. And then all of a sudden it's not just you're doing an exercise, you're like, oh, I'm solving a problem that's going to make the company money or save them money or something like that. So I think that context gives people a lot of hope when they can't stand math. So any other comments on what would you look for if you had a recent MBA business analyst candidate looking to be hired? What would catch your eye?
Comment I think for me, you show up to an interview and you have your MBA, you got straight A's, and you went to Germany for a few days and you learned business, and you're ready to go, right? And which is great, right? Those grades matter and those make a difference, But I want to understand what's important to you. What do you think about this position? How do you think you can use your skills that you learned in the MBA program and apply them to our organization and our values and what we're focused on? Because I think the one thing that I really start seeing is soft skills is just so basic, right? Learning how to connect with people, learning how to engage. I know someone recently in our organization who was let go because they didn't really know how to work with their teams, right? They knew accounting, but they didn't really know how to connect with their team, et cetera, right? And that was, and there was other issues, right, behind this person that I don't know about. But, that basic principle about being able to connect with people is very important. Knowing how to manage up, managing how to manage your boss, managing down, right? Managing vertical, that's another thing that we don't really talk about. How can I manage my other colleagues that are at my level too? Because those are also important stakeholders that we need to make sure that are on board and are supporting us.
Yeah, I love that 360 perspective. That you're not just a student in a class. I mean, I've got people that I need to impress. I need to have people that will speak well of me when I'm not in the room. Sponsors, interior sponsors, and I need to have colleagues that will support me or have my back. So great perspective. One of the other questions that we just had, of course, my brain just. So one of the other questions we had is, it appears that most of your work is described as taking information and transcribing it for other people. How often are you taking and making the raw data into insights? So do you have people that do that now in most of your roles, or are there times when you're kind of squirreling around in the data yourself?
For me, mostly the Baptist Foundation, we're kind of a smaller organization, so everyone kind of has their feet in a lot of different buckets. And that's kind of the bucket that I have dipped my toe in terms of being the one to compile the data and being able to bring those ratios and analytics to management to advise them. Because without analytics, you're kind of flying blind. People say, I want to invest, where do I go? And just saying the stock market is not the right answer. You have to be able to make an informed decision based on the tools that are out there at your disposal. So for me, I'm the person that's in the weeds in terms of mining the data and getting it ready and presenting it to management. And really, that's kind of how I helped advance myself from the base the base entry level when I first started. That was how I was able to advance my career. I think to be able to demonstrate the ability to crunch those numbers and be able to provide value add to management in that regard.
That's great. So did you guys catch that how he was able to advance by having that skill and developing that, and maybe even seeing those opportunities to, oh, okay, I can help bring value in this way. So very, very good.
I have to rely on a lot of other people's data. One, because it develops my team and it gets them closer to the problem, and then they can present the data up. And so I'm leaning on that, but there are some things I won't let go. Or like when you're in an organization, you know what's important to the organization. It's good to keep a pulse on that. And so whether it's the financials or whether it's some other KPI that we're looking at, I stay close to the data and I dive into it as well.
How about maybe the realm of where this is going in the future? Do you see positions that might be opening up, or things that you haven't seen as much of, that you could see, this is an opportunity that will really be a needed either skill, or, you've touched on the soft skills and the knowing how to deal with people and how to make sense of numbers and how to understand your way around a P&L statement. But what about the future? Do you see anything about where pockets of opportunity might lie? You've kind of touched on some of those, in terms of the huge quantity of data points that are out there. So, maybe people that are skilled at making sense of large, unimaginable types of data sets. That might be one.
I think we all heard of this thing called Internet of Things, right? How everything's connected and et cetera, right? But I think in the future, what we're going to see is that, again, knowing which is the right information to capture for our organization. And I think we're going to need those skill sets. It's like folks that are able to kind of decipher, hey, these are, out of these 10,000 points, these are your top 5 that we need to be mindful of, and build on that. Because there's a lot of organizations just focus on all 10,000 data points with 10 employees. Again, that's unrealistic, right? And we need to make sure that you're able to kind of have a team that can decipher which ones are important ones, build strategies around that, have a team that can, help you develop tactics and operation strategies around that to implement those strategies. And I think that's where the future is going. Because, we could, if we want to know, a question, right? We can just hire a company and have them do a survey, right? Or hire a consultant and they take care of it. But once you get that information, well, what does that mean for us, right? There's so many systems that, with AI that are tracking information of everything. And again, it's like, all right, well, what does that mean, And I think if you're able to kind of get ahead of that and really show employers how you understand these data points and how you can really evolve strategies around these data points, then you're going to be golden. But other than that, then you can keep learning as much as you can, but learning how to apply those is key.
I love that. It's having that ability to take a look at information and then anchor it to something that's important to your stakeholders and say, this is how this applies and this is the impact it'll have, and then being able to back it up intelligently. We have a question for you.
Oh boy.
So besides using business analytics in a career, would you ever see analytics being of importance in your personal life?
Whoa, a heavy hitter. Whew, okay. In my personal life, using analytics in my outside of my career, depends, unless, that's a great question. I'm thinking future career, I do want to go into some sort of marketing, SEO, analytics, tracking and stuff like that as a future. In my personal career, I'm trying to think of ways I could use that. I don't think I could think of anything off the top of my head, but other than a career.
Yeah.
That was a great question, you guys. Wow, got me there.
You stumped her. But especially with something in marketing and SEO and being able to track that, and again, make sense of sorting through the opportunities. Yeah, really, really seeing that. Okay, we're coming down to our last couple questions. And knowing what you know now with your work experience and career growth knowledge, how would you approach analytics and business statistics classes? In other words, would you go back and talk to your 20-year-old self? What would you tell that student?
I would tell myself to lighten up and have fun. Like with
analytics?
What's that?
With analytics?
With analytics, yeah. Because everybody, even if you don't like math, I hated math, but we're competent. Like, we can figure stuff out. Like, if we really want something, we're going to work our way toward it, right? And so if I would have gone back and stressed out about the class less and viewed it more as like an opportunity and more of a challenge and more of, hey, let me give it a shot to figure this out, I would have my mindset and my attitude would have been so much more positive toward it, and I think I would have done a lot better. So I honestly, I wish I could have gone back and done it that way.
Yeah, it definitely would be to pay attention more, because it's one of those things that, you learn it at the time and you're kind of like, how's the supply? I'm going to be an accountant. I'm just going to be reporting what happened. But let me tell you, it has come back full force, and there's been a lot of re-education in terms of having to relearn a lot of things and get oriented. So yeah, take advantage of this time now so you don't have to do it when you have a 2-year-old. So.
I was going to mention something. I had Professor Borden back there. He was awesome. It was great. Yes, absolutely. I think I would go back and focus more on the business analytics, like Microsoft Excel, honing in on my skills on that. I definitely didn't do that, and I should have done that more. I did listen to you, I promise. I just need to apply it more, and I think having more focus in that would help. And then also going to the Microsoft Excel boot camp that they offer here at school. I regret doing that as well, but I think it's not too late. Is there another one coming up?
It is not too late. And just for those of you who might not know, we are one of the few Touchpoint certified places where you can get the Microsoft Excel certification. And it's $120 if you just go online and just do it yourself and just say, hey, I want to get Excel certified. But why not get the boot camp, which is 3 weeks leading up to the course, to the exam, where you get to brush up on things.
I actually, after graduation, it was 4 months later, I went out and I had to buy a book from Barnes & Noble about Microsoft Excel. And then I was going back through my old operations management book, trying to teach myself. I wish I would have just done that.
Yeah.
It would be so much better.
That was a great commercial, Professor Borden. So
the best.
Yeah. So we had a very interesting question come in from the audience, where this individual asks, "What if you're decent at what the skills that are being asked for you to do, but what if you are you have a lot of charisma and you have a lot of other people skills? What are the chances that you could actually maybe nudge out someone that had other business analytics skills?" What are your thoughts about that?
I think I can align with that person, whoever wrote that, because I think, there's two things. You got to be able to perform, but you also got to be able to connect, right? Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, for me, I got a job to do. There was a question is well, do you rely on other people to create the data, or do you just get it and analyze it and make decisions, right? And no, sometimes I have to get in there and figure stuff out myself, and find out what's going on, right? Create this raw data, try to create something. But at the same time, you got to be able to connect with people, make sure your team likes you, your boss likes you, the organization sees you as someone that's up and coming as a new leader, right? So I think for whoever answer this question, you're in a good spot. I think the fact that you're self-aware that you're a good performer and that you're a good person and you have something to bring to the organization, you're already going in with the right spirit. So that would be my comment to you.
Great question. Any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think I'd kind of echo what Alberto said. I mean, someone that has good interpersonal skills, someone that is able to connect with people, and someone that has a good work ethic. And, I would rather hire someone that has a lower competency in data analytics and has a good work ethic and has a good spirit and is willing to learn than someone who has a Harvard education but is stuck up, doesn't play well with others. And, I'm not saying that about Harvard, but I'm just saying, there's of course a baseline competency that you need to have in the field, in your field. But honestly, what sets you apart in the job application market is your ability to demonstrate that you're here to work for the company, that you're a good person, and you're hardworking. So,
I love that, and willing to learn. Mm-hmm. I think that's one of the things that you're never expected, right, when you're hired right out of the gate, that you're going to have all of this background. But if you're teachable, that's a huge plus. Huge plus. Any other comments on that?
I completely agree, 100%. I think you nailed it, right? I would hire for character, knowing that I can train competence every time. If somebody's competent but they've got terrible character, they're not going to connect with the team, or they're not going to put the values of the organization first, that's not a win. So again, if you're self-aware enough to be asking that question, that's a good sign.
Yeah, that's a really, really good question, whoever that was, anonymous. That was a good one. I think those are a lot of the main questions. If you have any other questions that you would like to shoot over to the QR code, we'd be happy to answer them. But man, I just really appreciate the breadth and the honesty of some of the questions that you've been able to answer. Before we wrap up and have Dr. Gramling give us a prayer, is there anything that you would like to add? This is kind of your last shot. What would you think would be important for our students to know? Any encouragement or warning or anything you can think of?
I actually came in prepared for that.
You did. There you go.
I think there's three things, and this has nothing to do with business analytics.
That's okay.
So my apologies, Dean, but more of a, just for you guys as Christians, as individuals, and as good people, I think there's three things. Be patient as you're starting to live your purpose, right? That's the motto here at Camp Baptist. Hang out with the good people, right? Hang out with the people that are like-minded as you. And when I mean that, I'm serious, because that really does make a difference. And third, focus on a few things. Don't try to focus on 10 different things, right? Because, yes, you can try to do them, right? But you're gonna get tired, and you might not be great at all those 10 things. So try to focus on 3-4 things, and take it from there. You guys are young, you guys are learning, and again, be patient, hang out with the right people, pick a few things to focus on and be good at them, and life will continue to dictate the path for you. So I just want to share that.
Thank you.
I guess I just thought of something, or I think maybe God put this on my heart, but God works for the good of those who love him. Okay, that's what it was. That came in my heart. So I'll share with you. We have a unique perspective here and time here at CBU, and we kind of have this advantage and kind of one up. We have great character. We love the Lord. We know that he will reveal his plan to us no matter what, and what he wants to do with our life. That's his story and not ours. And we are here to live that and live that purpose, as CBU would say. But I just want to encourage you guys, even if you don't know what you want to do, that was me, literally bring that to the Lord, pray about it. He will reveal that to you, and it will make sense. And look to professors as well, to pray for you as well, if that's the case. But they're here to encourage you as well and help you be the best students that you guys can be as well. Just want to add that.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I'd say look for mentors. So whatever that pool looks like for you, find somebody that's further down the road from you, that's older than you, that's sharper than you, that has more experience, and just ask questions. Just ask. The more that you can soak up, from my experience, the only shortcut is good advice. And so get good advice, find sharp people, wise people, godly people, stay close to them, follow their input, and then work hard. Work hard. You're going to compete against a whole bunch of people that don't want to do hard work. And so the folks that work hard stand out, and they're going to rise.
Yeah, I think my advice is to be disruptive, and don't, I'm not saying in a typical, disruptive manner, but I mean,
don't set off fire alarms.
When you first get into a job, you're generally coming in an entry-level position, and it's low, and there's a very set baseline of expectations for you to perform. But in those moments, you also have opportunities to set yourself apart, to think creatively, to not just do things like they were done last year, to not just do things like they're done, to think creatively about problems to solutions that maybe are solutions to problems that management might not even know are there. To create those little efficiencies and really demonstrate, that you're a creative thinker, that you're a thought leader, and someone that can set themselves apart in an organization. So don't feel boxed in when you first get there. I'm not saying go be a renegade employee and try and change everything, but there are little opportunities, especially when you first start to distinguish yourself amongst your peers, and show the value that you can bring to the company, and why you should be the one to advance next. So I really believe that.
I love that, and I like the emphasis that you had, even though this is all has been about numbers and that, but you've used the word creativity a lot. Mm-hmm. Yeah, to creatively problem solve, and so people think, if it's numbers, I can't be creative. I mean, you want to be creative and still have integrity, but you can actually use that to bounce and to show some of your creativity to your employer. And we had one final question that came in on the QR code. How did you decide that you wanted to pursue data analytics as your career?
It was a better job than the one I had.
Okay.
So
That's fair.
I took a job right out of CBU. I was working for about 3 months, and then a friend that had graduated about 6 years before me, he was a data analyst for this company, He got me the interview. I interviewed well, but I didn't know anything about it. That's when I went and bought the book at Barnes & Noble. And I saw it. It was at a very good company, and it was an on-ramp, right? So I got to learn. I got to be a part of a larger organization, and then doors just opened up from there.
So it was kind of that was your on-ramp.
Yeah, so it was an emergent strategy. It was not like this is what I want to do.
Yes.
It was, but it worked out. And then as I grew, like the emphasis and the need for an analytical like basis just became that much more foundational.
Nice. Anyone else? Was it more emergent for you all, or was it something that I'm going to go do numbers?
I kind of always liked numbers when I was growing up. My dad has a little journal that I used to keep where I'd calculate on vacation the miles per gallon that we earned and trying to estimate what time we'd get there, based on our average speed. So as you could tell, I had a ton of friends when I was a kid.
Nerd.
But I've always been interested in it, and you can't get more numbers than accounting. So
Yeah.
it was a natural fit. So.
That's awesome. No, we love nerds here. We love them. Any other comments?
I think for me, I wasn't trying to be in analytics. That wasn't, my goal or anything like that. But as I've been able to kind of progress in my career, I have a need to understand it and to use it and to be able to apply it. So I wasn't, like my colleague here trying to calculate the miles per gallon, but now I will if I have to.
Highly recommend
But yeah, I think for all of you, some of you, might be like, hey, I'm trying. This is the way in, right? But sometimes they'll find you, and the real question is like, well, let me go back to my MBA classes and see how I can bring in those knowledge, skills, and abilities and apply them now. So.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your perspectives and your the wisdom that you have from all things. Can you guys give them a round of applause? Just thanking them. And at this point, I think I'm gonna go ahead and turn this over to Dr. Gramling, and so he can have a few final thoughts.
All right, thank you. You can take your seats. Let's give one more time for our panel. Thank you so much.
I got another Kahoot. Okay, pull your phones out. This is a quick one. Only 2 questions. So if you bring up, there we go. Our game pin is 217-4315. 217-4315. Grayson B. Here we go, 25. I think we had, 50 before? We've got 27, 28. Here we are, filling it up. Almost there. All right, we're almost there, and 45. Yeah, I think that was about, 46. 49 was last one. Come on, we got 2 more. There we go. And this question now is, this is the post. We did the pre. This is the post because we're analytical like that. Word cloud. In a word, describe what you feel about analytics now after having heard from our SAGE panel. We're getting there. On 9 seconds. Still, Interesting. Better. Okay, I like that. Still meh. There we go. Oh, baller. I'm tired. I second that. Concerned, pain. That's cool. I like that, though. Better, useful. You guys are so creative. That's pretty funny. There we go. And I think there's just one last question. Yeah. And now, would you conciser a career? Who wrote this? Oh, wait, that was me. Not at all. Probably not. Neutral, probably yes, or yes, I definitely would. go. So we got a little movement then to the neutral, a little bit more on the, yep. There we go. Very good. All right, now I'll go ahead and hand this over to Dr. Gramling.
Thank you, and everyone. Please give it up for our outstanding moderator, Dawn Carter. Outstanding job tonight. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time tonight, and I'm grateful we had an opportunity to explore this topic. Please stay tuned for our Faith and Enterprise series for the spring, which will include the always popular sports marketing, and then another topic about nonprofit management. So with that, we're going to ask everybody to please stand as we prepare to dismiss. I understand that as students, you have left a lot of cookies at the back, which suggests that perhaps the ones who wanted the cookies were the administrators. But that's okay. You are certainly welcome. Please feel free to take a cookie. And let's give God praise one more time for our outstanding panel who did an amazing job tonight. Thank you. So with that, let us pray. God, we're grateful tonight for all who have served, all who have supported and put this event together. We thank you for IT and conferences and events. We thank you for Dawn and Dolores and for all of these behind the scenes, our student workers and others who have helped us make this event special tonight. We're grateful for these panelists, for them sharing their testimony and their work in this field. And we pray, God, you will help us. We realize that we don't always know exactly where we will go in the future, but we know that exposure to key elements of information are what help us. And I pray that tonight someone was exposed to business analytics in a way that will help them in their careers, help them in their decisions, help them in their future. Lord, please bless God and protect us, we pray, and keep us safe and strong. In Jesus' name, amen. May God bless you. You may go in peace.